during the times where we're not seeing each other in a box in Zoom and we're, not working, what have you been doing? Have you binged anything? Reading a good book during quarantine?
You want me to say I miss you, Jay?
No.
That's
No,
what he wants. That's what he wants.
No, but come on, what have you been doing? Any new books, anything you can recommend to the panel, to the attendees?
Let me hear.
He's playing around. There he is.
That's my backyard, Jay. That's what I've been doing. When I do my email in the morning, I've been doing it from the pool. Then I come and do my work. We've been having a good time.
Christopher, Amy, any of you want to jump in? What have you learned? Did you learn anything by being down? And you're both in California, and we're now, we're in Florida, so we're also in an epicenter at the moment. And you've had your challenges at the beginning and currently, but while you were home, and did you binge anything? Did you read anything? Anything you like to do? Anything you learned from this experience?
Well, I'll go. As you can see, my background is the office. So while you all have been at home remotely, I do come into the office at least 3 times a week, but I'm the only one here. And so it's no problem whatsoever. But I don't binge anything. If I'm binging, I use this time constructively to do homework and to read the thousands of books and pages that I have been given. So my life has already been dictated as to what I'm doing. But
well, are you only saying that because you're afraid, some of your faculty might hear this?
No, if I'm smart, I am reading. I think I don't have any friends or colleagues that are students that we're not doing the same thing. I will say that it has offered me, and I know this is, I don't want it to sound bad, but the pandemic and everything, or things being shut down, the thought of things slowing down has caused me to kind of slow down and kind of, manage time a little better, so then I can do more reading. I can, make active use of the time. And so for that is, in light of a bad situation or in tough times, challenging times, is, it's helped me in some. I've found a way to keep going. And
right.
School has helped. I have to admit, online school union has helped tremendously, because being in a house and, for some people, it causes some other type of emotions, things of that nature. And so if people are living by themselves, but when you have something constructive to do, it does help. It does at times, yeah.
Great. What about the traffic? I mean, you're still going into the office. Is the traffic a little lighter?
Oh, let me just share. I live, anybody know the 405, but I live actually only 20 minutes away from the office. It's been, I have to say this, it's been wonderful. I can get home in a matter from this door to my home door in about 20-25 minutes. On a regular day though, when everything is back in session, up and running, it would take about a good hour 15, depending on what time I leave out. Yeah. So,
Well, I mean, I'll say, I do miss going into the office, but there's definitely benefits to working at home. But there's also, I have all my family home now, right? So I had 2 kids who were out in college, they're home. I had my high school kids who, very quickly transitioned to Zoom, and they're home, right? They're at any given, my wife is working from home, so at any given time, we have 6 people on Wi-Fi doing their work and what have you. But we also started having family dinners again, and we started playing games, and we did puzzles, So there are definitely benefits to having this quarantine that you don't want. You want to get rid of it, and we want to get rid of the pandemic, but you definitely, there are silver linings in it. And I've definitely found stuff to binge watch. I don't know if I recommend anything, it'll give away some of my tastes, good and bad. But I've done that, and I read, I kind of read, I find myself, I read like old episode TV was, right? Because in the old times, you had to watch, if you watched the TV show, you'd watch it, let's say, every Thursday night, every Tuesday night, and then the following week, a new episode would come on. I kind of only read once a week, so I'll read, and then I won't pick up the book for a week, so now I have to remember where the book left off. The same kind of thing that you wait a whole week. Christopher, what about you?
Currently reading Robert Greenleaf's Servant Leadership. I'm a book nut. I don't know. I feel like might be scaring Kevin Brown, who's joined us, because I keep trying to read the bookshelf behind him. I love books. I'm like zeroed in on his bookshelf. And work has been really stressful right now. As I said, I work for a large healthcare company, and this is totally not in my normal wheelhouse, but I have been binging Married at First Sight just to completely tune out my brain and just go into nowhere land.
Yeah, that's,
So,
what,
I mean,
that's how it all becomes about. You know, you either have certain tastes that you want. I miss a lot of sports. I'm looking forward to baseball. This past Monday, I had my baseball draft, my fantasy draft. I'm looking forward to it. Will it last all of their shortened season? I don't know, right? But a lot of what we learn and what we take up and we do in this time is a result of, I wouldn't call it desperation, but hey, I need a break from my stress and just go to something that's totally out of your box, just to have mindless stuff going on in your background. But it's good to hear this stuff from each of you and to share. And if anybody any of the attendees want to share something or that any of a book that they read or something that they wanted to, they can do it in the chat now, and we'll give it a shout out. But it's also like knowing from each other and hearing this type of stuff, it brings us to a sense of community, right? So we're all part of a community. We all belong to Union, right? Union is one big community, and learning from each other and hearing from each other. Oh, this is what so-and-so watches, and this is what kind of book, or I read a book that so-and-so recommended. It's a good piece of having this strong sense of community. I do want to hear from both you, Amy, and Christopher. In your programs, did you feel that sense of community? Now, some programs lend to it. I think the PhD very much does. But some programs, if our criminal justice student would be on, I believe she would say, a lot of our criminal justice folks come in, they take the courses, they want to finish, and they're not really looking to have so much interaction with new people, right? They're really more, into, I need to get the degree to get to the next step. But a lot of our other programs do build up a sense of community. So that's why I wanted to ask some of these questions about your life, your dislikes, anything going on with our pandemic that you've learned from. But I want to hear about the programs itself. Christopher, Amy, did you feel that you've had sense of community in your programs? Christopher, you start, please.
I did in the MSOL program, so the Masters of Organizational Leadership. It is a cohort based. So you have, there are some people that pop in and out, but for the most part, you're with the same group of people throughout your journey. So, you get to know people, you're working on projects with them, virtually, but you still get to know them, you're exchanging phone numbers. I had a really cool experience that one of the people that I became most close with flew out here to graduate in Sacramento so that we could meet. So we went through the graduation ceremony, and Dr. Wheat, who is the head of that program, she flew out as well. And afterwards I had my buddy Patrick, who I'd gone through the entire program with, and Dr. Wheat, who I built an incredible relationship with that continues at dinner with just me and my immediate family. It was one of the most special capstones to my experience. So I definitely had that sense.
Wow. You just reminded me, before you go, Amy, of a story. We have commencements here at each of the centers. And at one point, the university had a completely online Masters of Education program. And I was in charge of that program at the time. And we were standing at commencement, and it was a 2-year program. Well, you could do it in 1 year or 2 year. And there were these two women who were standing in line getting ready to walk, down the aisle for their commencement. And they started a conversation. They said, "Oh, you're so-and-so? Oh, you're so, I've known you for the last 2 years, but that was the first time they actually met." They started hugging each other. "Wow, you helped me so much in my program." And so a lot of people, and especially, when online education first came about, that there was that whole isolationist thinking, "Oh, they just don't do it online," and there's no, but, here at Union, we always felt that, it's still individualized education, and it's still an opportunity for people to really get to learn from each other and develop a sense of community, even though you may never ever see each other face to face until commencement. Amy, go ahead, talk about that.
You know what, and I'm gonna say, Dr. J, I feel very fortunate, because I learned it first from one side, being the work side. But as a student, especially in a doctoral program, I don't say anything, whether there's instructors on here or not. I only say what I really feel. And if it wasn't positive, I'd structure it a different way to be tactful. But I can truly say without a shadow of a doubt, the doctoral program is a strong sense of community. In going through the program itself, we started as a cohort as well. I'm what they consider cohort 26, but you cannot help. I believe that you get out of things that you put into it too. And so what you give, you're gonna get back. And so when you go in, you can go into any program, any educational type of program you want to go into, and only go in and say, okay, I'm only going for this. But if you only go for a strategic just to get that degree, you're missing out on so much, on the people that you meet, on the relationship you build with instructors that's going to last a lifetime. And so those are some of the things that have been key in going through this pandemic. I honestly can tell you, we had to build a strong source. Thank God for Zoom, because we literally were coming together to talk, just to help each other through. And we were all across the country, as far as Africa and Ethiopia, things of that nature. And so when you can bring people so spread apart and bring them close in together just to help get through a term, that's a special place. And when you have instructors that are working with you, they really want to see you succeed. I've been in colleges where, you go in and you sit in as a class of maybe 200 to 500, and, the instructor may never know who you are. You know what I'm saying? You may never build that rapport. You're just another number. In this doctoral program, and I'd say for all of Union, you're more than just your ID number. And I think that's important, that students like to feel that they're a part of. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And that's
Okay,
very
can I jump in? Can I jump in?
You jump in, I was going to turn to you next, and I want please jump in.
Okay, I want to jump on that. I wrote an article 3 years ago called The 5 Myths of Online Instruction. And myth number 3 was that collaboration is not possible in online instruction. And it definitely is a myth, because we establish some better community and better collaboration online. When you do asynchronous discussion boards, you can't hide. If you're in a classroom, you can hide and never respond during the whole term. But when you are in an online environment and structured properly, you are part of the discussion all the time. You cannot hide. You have to be part of it. It's recorded, and there is a lot more collaboration in an online setting than even in a face-to-face setting.
Great, yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. What, from a faculty standpoint, what do you do? So you have these discussions, you have threaded discussions, you have chats, right? Do you, I know some faculty also hold online and maybe Zoom office hours, come meet me and develop this, right? And it's very important to have the students interact with each other, so that, there's definitely a lot of research, people who feel connected and feel part of a community certainly succeed more, and building that into online is very important. Go ahead, Tom.
At a lot of universities, you see your professor during class and you see him or her during their office hours. At Union, you have the phone number of your professor. You interact. We're expected to get back. Our expectation in our contract says that we have to get back to you within 48 hours. We get back to you within 24 hours. We get back to you within an hour. Union faculty are different. That's what makes us Union.
Right. So Amy, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say too, I do think that the faculty is one of the most appealing aspects for me, and not that we don't engage and there are group discussions and stuff, but also I don't know who might be looking at distance learning because they don't necessarily want to be forced to always be in group settings. So you do have group projects most of the time, and you do have to respond to your discussion board. But I also want to let the introvert know that if you don't want to, they don't make us dance before class together and sing songs and whatnot. You can also have your private space too. So it really is about what Amy said, what you put into it, you'll get back. So I just want to say both are there. Absolutely, online does not exclude collaboration, and a lot of the courses are designed for us to collaborate. But you can also have your time and do this your pace and your style as well. It's pretty cool.
And your own time, because everybody, the things are structured in such a way that if you work 9 to 5, you can do your work at night. If you work at night, you can do your work during the day. And you still can get that collaboration going on within the online setting, because we're not based on synchronous Zoom meetings. We have developed the art of asynchronous online so that we can, because we know the working adult in different time zones, like Amy mentioned, people from Ghana are in the program, people from Jamaica are in the program. There are 3 hours difference between Miami and Fort Lauderdale in the West Coast, Los Angeles.
Sometimes between Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, correct. Sometimes it takes that long to drive between Miami.
Yes.
But we've learned how to make it flexible and make it work.
Right. And it's like what you said, and you touched on it, this is not new to us, right? We weren't, developing or having classes, and suddenly, a global pandemic hit and we had to scramble. We were able to make the transition because there was no transition for us, and we were able to, keep our sense of community, keep our academics going. Amy, you mentioned, in there that if there was something, that you don't want to sugarcoat, something that there's a challenge or a difficulty, you'll say it. So without getting into specifics against anybody that you may have, not challenges against people, but what was challenging for you and Christopher? I mean, what's challenging about coming back? What didn't work out so great? Or, it's not always so, roses and sugar cubes. Is that a saying? What is the challenges? Go ahead, Amy.
There are challenges. I mean, when you're looking, for me, it was more than 15 years, you all, since I had been in school, and now I'm going back. And so you're talking about 15 years of life experiences, of dealing with things. Now I'm going to go back to a classroom. And so there's different things that I desire and that I wanted to get out of this. And sometimes when you go to classes, everyone might not be at the same, the level of expectation or the same level of patience with everyone. There's different types of personalities, and those same types of personalities with their differences, with what they feel is important. We're a strong social justice school. And so in the doctoral program, you have a lot of people who are, strong and passionate about the things that are going on and what they see about their opinions. And so, I go in and I hope that everybody can agree to disagree and things of that nature. Sometimes it's not like that, and you still have to be able to overcome. But I think the perception of what you want to get out, you will go and you will adjust yourself. And what I mean by that is it's a thing of self-growth and development. So I found when I came, I really, really worked on Amy to see, again, what did I want to get out of this? Let's be real. We come to this culture, and that's what I call it, and that's what we refer to it, this union culture. But, regardless of the fact, the bottom line is you pay for this union culture too. So it's so important to stay on task and to really know what you want to get, because you can get distracted. Life can distract you. And so I think those are some of the biggest challenges. And then when you come into a group, being able to effectively communicate with the group. And that a lot of times, most of the time, that's work that Amy has to do. So I had to adjust myself. And I think if everyone does that, it doesn't happen all the time, but you know how to work effectively with people. I think that's been my biggest thing, is to be able to do that and accomplish that so I can stay focused. As with anything, it's easy to get off track. It's easy to lose distraction. Work, some people have kids. It's very easy. But if you know what you want to do, you plan that out, and then you work your plan. And that's all you can do. And you don't let anything distract you. That may seem cliche, but it's so true. It's been successful for me. And so things get hard, don't get me wrong, those papers, and sometimes I'm looking like, oh Lord, what did I decide to do? And there's doubt that comes in your mind. But then I have to remember why I started this process. And it's a constant growing and development of self, not the other people, of self. You'll have different instructors, people with different expectations, but at the bottom line, you have to conform to what is needed in order to be successful. And so that's just managing your time, managing yourself. I don't know, Christopher, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think, you know, there are many reasons why we choose a school that specializes in a format like this, right? So one of the things that's appealing is the pace with which you can acquire your degree. And with that comes, you know, some pretty intense timelines. What I think I want to say is, if you have a heart to get this education, you can do it. I think for me, many times, the most difficult part were the other students, because different people have different levels of commitment, much to what Amy was just saying about how you motivate yourself. You still have to get through the course. So, but isn't that life, right? Most of us have a couple of years of life experience. So, you know, you really do need to focus on you. And then I think, again, you won't find a bigger champion of the faculty than me. But I leaned into my faculty. They are really there for you. Many of them, you know, like you have their numbers, and they really are there. And so if they find you engaged, it's really fun. So like, I'm a geek for leadership. I'm always in a new leadership book. I love it. So it's a perfect degree for me. So when my professors see that and they see you engaging and whatnot, then they lean back in twice as hard as well. So I got a lot out of the program. But you're going to have a wide variety of people with you, and it is fast paced.
Well, let me
but
ask,
I don't want you to, you know, discount yourself and say, oh, I can't do fast. You can do it. You can do this program, and everyone is here to help you succeed. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
well, let me ask along that lines and succeeding to either one of you. What resources did you utilize? Did you use the library? Talk about it being a virtual library. How would the librarians, writing center, career services, any kind of the services that we may have had, what did you use? What about our IT help? I mean, we're an online institution. How was the learning management system? Did you ever need to get some IT help? Were they responsive? Talk about that. And maybe also what other strategies you've used to be successful in our program.
You go first, Amy.
Okay. You know what, IT, the writing center, the library, I've used them all. And they've all been helpful. They've been very helpful. The library, actually the library itself and the writing center is something I will continuously use. You know, some people use a writing center for various, but whatever your need is, they're able to help and assist in whatever way. For me, I love to write. So the writing center is somewhere where you can give your papers and they'll give you feedback, you know? And so I just really wanted somebody to look at my papers and, you know, if you can, I didn't need a whole lot of editing, but I did need that feedback of, you know, the target audience, things of that nature that I needed for what I was doing. And they do that. They make appointments with you, no matter what time. They're willing to work with you. They do call you back. Sometimes, you know, you call somebody and you need help and they'll say, okay, let's make a time. And then they don't. Never has there been a time where I've called the writing center and they have not come through, have not given, you know, good feedback. Now they're of course not writing papers for you, but they will definitely look at what you have and help you in what you've constructed. So it's been very helpful. The same thing for the library. The library, I love the library. And if you don't know, you know, if you can't find something, they're willing to help you. And just recently, last week, looking for something, and Susan Whitehead, who needed to find something, she went out and got it for me. And I was just so appreciative. And that was in less than 24 hours, you know, and so you just have to make it known if you need help. So they're there. Mm-hmm.
Christopher?
I had a very clever instructor that built navigating and getting to know the library personnel into part of our curriculum. So we had to engage. We were graded on it, and they were awesome, and it was fun. And then, but I didn't use a ton of the resources. And when I did need some IT help, they were almost instantaneous. So library was really helpful, and IT was really helpful. So, I mean, I think that's a good example, too, on how much you need to lean in. The schools there, how much you don't. They let you do your thing, you know, get your stuff in. So
great. Tom, Dr. Frederick.
Yeah,
you know,
let me just say something about the library. We have been a distance learning institution from the very beginning. We've never had, I guess there was a short period of time where you had some physical books in a library in Vermont, but for the last 60 years, over 50 of them, we've had to develop online library resources. And while other libraries are doing that now, we've always had that. 20 years ago, we had a library complete online. When the Higher Learning Commission comes in to do our accreditation, they are always flabbergasted by the extent of our online library. And they're comparing it to other institutions throughout the country. It's just our nature, since we have been built for the adult learner and we have been built for distance education. Our library had to be built that way, and it is quite impressive.